a Pete Primeau fan.
Thank you for having me.
Your fans are like...
What an honor to be here, Pete. You're a legend. You're a rock star.
I'm a legend in my own mind, said my wife.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
I'm Mr. Selling from the Heart. What's this guy, Larry Levine, going to teach me about selling from the heart?
You are one of the most generous and authentic people around. And I think that's why you and your show are so attractive to people.
Welcome to the Pete Primeau Show. It's episode 233. And before we get started, I just want to pay the bills really, really quickly. If you haven't bought my book, Sell a Million, what are you waiting for? 101 tips on how to sell more and be more profitable. The best compliment I ever got was from my good friend, Doug Stewart, who said, take the word furniture and mattress out of the book. It's just a great marketing book. And for those of you who want a sales book, I have a sales book for you. It's based on my 43 years of experience and 10 other authors, some of which you're very familiar with. Jeff Chinakovo, Scott Vaughn, Chris Tahaney, Bren Batterman, Mel Opp, Keith Castanguy, Mark Klingenberg, Steve Carnes, Randy Thompson, and none other than Justin Trumbo. And I have to say something, guys. Jerry Morris, who wrote several great books on sales way before me, helped me write almost all of the chapters that are attributed to me. It should say Pete and Jerry Morris, because my English, as any of you know who know me well, is really not nearly as good as Jerry Morris's English. So thank you, Jerry Morris. I keep forgetting to give you credit for this book. This book right here, I think it's like $20 on Amazon. It's 3 years of sales meetings, 3 years of weekly sales meetings on Saturday. If you're a sales manager or a store owner and you want to have a syllabus to go through, buy that book. And for the next 3 years, your sales meetings are done for you. Call me if you have any questions. Thank you, everybody, for your support of this book. I've been so pleased with what the contributing authors gave to the industry, and very, very, very proud of the reception of this book. I think it is a game changer. And here's the beautiful thing. Doesn't change anything with your sales process. This is not sales process driven. As a matter of fact, there's a bonus chapters in the back of the book, and it addresses many sales processes that you could implement, but everything in the book works with all selling systems. So it is sales system agnostic, if you will, and it will add a lot to your sales force, and it will help them to fall in love with selling mattresses all over again. So without a further ado, let me further pay the bills. Our friends at Mattress Industry Network Group, thank you for sponsoring the show. If you want to learn how to build, market, sell, and succeed, join the Mattress Industry Network Group. My friends, I should say, do a great job in this group. Steve Hauk and Greg Jen and a bunch of other people are in this group. And if you want to learn how to build, market, sell, and succeed in the mattress industry today for absolutely free, just join this Facebook group. And I often get this. I hate Facebook. I don't want to be on Facebook. Guys, I hate Facebook too. I hate being on Facebook as well. All right. But I'm on there for business, and I'm not on there a lot. But it's a great group and you really should join. And if you haven't been to Scott Vaughn's Wingo Coaching Masterclass, guys, it's right around the corner. There's one more that I know of this year. It's in Nashville, and it is on September 28th, 29th, and 30th. Guys, it doesn't get any easier than this. All you got to do if you're from out of state is fly in to the airport and then walk into the hotel. That's it. No Ubers, no lifts, no nothing. He had one there last year. It was fantastic. If you haven't gone to a Wingo masterclass and you want to do more business in a funner way and in a way that endears you to the community that you serve in, and if you want to build a business that you can be proud of and that you can sell someday, this is an unbelievably great masterclass for you. And the best part isn't what's in the syllabus, isn't what the content, it's the breaks before breakfast, during breakfast, at lunch, dinner, after dinner, in the bar with, just talking to another business owner who just invested just like you, who's serious about his or her business and who wants to grow. These are the people that you will walk out of there with 10 to 20 new friends who are very serious about the mattress industry. And that is the most important piece to the Wingo coaching masterclass. So I've been to all of them. I'll be at this one. I look forward to everyone that's going to be there. Don't miss it. It's incredibly important. And without further ado, Karen, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Pete. I'm super excited to be here.
So our topic is Let's Talk Sleep with Karen Converse. Karen, what's near and dear to your heart right now?
Well, before I begin, I wanted to say a couple of things. Well, I'm going to say a lot of things. But, I listen to your show, sometimes not always live, but I do go back in and I listen. And when I was listening to Brent, that was a couple of weeks ago, I actually wrote a note to myself because when he said it, and it stuck with me. And the more I thought about it, I said, I remember, having a conversation about this years ago. But he brought up little things, right, to prepare. Say if somebody was going to pick up a mattress, but he talked about all these little things to do and prepare. And then he said, everybody knows this. It's not, I don't know if it was you or him said it's not sexy, but it's all these little things. And what I thought of is, as everybody is listening to your show, to the show today, they might be thinking, I know this, right? I know this, I do this already. But what I want you to ask yourself, and this is what I asked myself when Brent was talking is, I know that, but do I talk about it? Do I do that? Right? Do I really do that? And then I said, but can I do that better? Can I make it better? So I thought that was pretty big because every time anybody that we're listening to, whether, on your show or in a store, and they bring up something, even if it's small, it could be important at some particular time in their sales process. So I wanted to put that out there. I thought that was pretty interesting.
I think that is super important. I'm glad you brought it up. Do I really do that? And can I do it better?
Yes.
The second part is the most important part that you said. Can I do it better?
Mm-hmm.
There's always room for improvement. And as long as we are active in our profession, we need to constantly look for ways to serve our customers and our companies in a better way. And here's one of the things that struck me that I wrote down when Brent was going through all those little teeny tiny things.
Yeah.
It made me go to the scene in Al Pacino's film where he was the football coach and he's talking about fighting for every little inch, and all those inches add up.
Yep.
And that is what, in the end, makes one team victorious and another team lose. And so here is, hey, Tim, I owe you a phone call. You called me when I was in the green room, brother. Pete, let's get it. I will get it, Tim. This is what went off in my head also. Gary Ryan Blair is a get it done guy. Anybody who's watching and listening, if you haven't heard the name Gary Ryan Blair, Google it right now. Gary Ryan Blair, 100-day challenge. If you haven't done it, you should do it. Gary Ryan Blair is a performance expert. He is rarefied air. And this is one thing. It's just 2 words. And it's going to be the most brutal 2 words I've ever said on this show. Are you ready? I want everyone to write this down. Everything counts. Everything counts. And you know what? When we're doing everything right, we're like, yeah. And when you're taking a little break, a little shortcut, maybe not doing everything right, you poo-poo it. You look away from it. Well, look at that every day. Everything counts. And make sure that you understand it's not like Gary Ryan Blair's opinion. It's not Pete Primeau's opinion. It's not Karen Converse's opinion. It's like gravity. Like once in a while, when you throw a ball up, does it just stay up there and never come down unless it's filled with helium? No, it always comes back down. Everything counts is always true, whether you want it to count or not. So I'm sorry, I digress. And Karen, what's the next thing you want to talk about?
You know how hard it is for me to not talk? Hold on. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. I know, Pete, there's so many of us. Christine, there's so many of us in a room. I don't even know how we ever get a conversation completed because we all have, right? So then it led me, this is my other one that I have been talking about a lot this year. Well, I'm going to say in the last 5 years do you remember the movie Glengarry Glen Ross? And it was the whole entire ABC, always be closing was introduced, right? That whole mindset. And I'm still running into salespeople that have that mindset of always be closing. And it really needs to be put to bed, right? It needs to never be part of a conversation because always be closing is what? It's contrary to the whole entire belief that you're helping your customer, that you're listening to your customer, right? It makes it about you. You don't get to build a rapport. You prematurely pitch the project or product because you're not asking the great questions. You use hard tactics to win. It's all about the deal and not necessarily about how better that they could sleep or solving the problem. And I believe in products, that process, that whole Marcus Lemonis, right? People, product, process equals profit. But process is so important. And when you're always focused on the close and go for the close, it takes away from all of the opportunity to get to understand why they came in the door to begin with. So my thought process, and as we were talking a little bit today, that mindset is really about finding out what the problem is and then the solution. And if you're really doing that and following the process, all right, of sales or whatever process that you have that you do, the close, if you will, is easy. It's not hard. It's not complicated. I practice this every day. I'm not on the floor selling. I'm out here wholesale. And I sit here over and over again thinking, am I asking better questions? Am I talking too much? Which is one of my, when they say, what's a fault of yours? I say, I think it's hereditary in my family, but I talk too much. But to listen, that active listening and to truly listen. Sometimes I'll repeat what they say to make sure that I fully, got it in the noggin here. Because if I am not doing what I'm preaching here, and I'm not listening to my customers of what their wants and needs are, what their concerns are, and I'm more focused about what my concerns are. I got to get more product on the floor, right? I want more share of voice out there. I want you to advertise my product. I want all these things. Of course I do, but really, if I'm focused on my customer and what their wants and needs are and fully understanding what their wants and needs are, well, then we're in a better position. So I'm speaking, or I'm doing trying to do. I'm working on it. You know, we're all a work in progress every single day. So always be closing. Put it to bed. I don't ever want to walk into a sales meeting and see or hear somebody talking about that. It's horrible. It's just horrible.
Let me just unpack that a little bit because I can't pass on this one.
Okay.
Always be closing should not be put to bed.
Why?
Always be closing should be taken out and shot dead.
Okay.
All right.
Like,
it is, and let me tell you how it absolutely ruins your sales career. The most fundamental mindset to a salesperson is you should be doing it for your customer, not for yourself. That selfishness that is behind always be closing. Why always be closing? Oh, so that you can make more sales. Right. But the reality is I can listen my way into more sales than you can ever talk your way into. And I've got 43 years that proves it. Besides that, forget about all that. Let's talk about being a good human being and doing the right thing. When you meet somebody new, your life and the way that you speak and the way that you listen should be a testimony to everything that you believe to be holy and true. And if it's not, you need to revamp your selling process so that it's consistent with what you believe. And so I believe that I pull out a lot of tough sales because I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for them. And
right.
when it gets tough, I will take it to the mat. And I will go in places that other salespeople refuse to go. And I will pull out that 800-pound bear and wrestle it out of the closet, throw it down and expose it and address that issue and close the sale. But I'm not doing it because I want the commission or I need the commission. I want it for my customer because I know they're better off with me than without me. And always be closing fundamentally undercuts that. So sorry, I went off.
You hear me? I thought we were going to fight for a minute because I was like, what do you mean?
I saw her getting the gloves on.
I was ready to go.
Yeah. Well, I was further down the road than you were.
Yeah. So, you know, to me, it was about listening. So here's what's fun. And I was so happy that you asked me on your show, because in real life, this is me, real life, I'm aging, right? My sleep is starting to change, and it has been for the last 2 or 3 years. And I'm doing the things that I need to do, working on it, right, to be better. And we know this. Us, you know, the people that are in this industry, we know what we should and should not be doing. And even we struggle not to do the things that keep us from getting the best night's sleep possible. And then we talk to our customers, right, and friends and family, and we're like, why are you doing that? Because it's difficult, it's hard. But here's what I found out, which I did not know, because I still think I'm 40 in my head. And when I was looking up how as your body is changing, did you know, Pete, that as our bodies, like when you get beyond 60, okay, that your whole entire circadian rhythm changes again. It changes, it pushes forward. And we know this. When I say this to you, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. And I mean, it's not happening to us, right? I'm not over 60 yet, almost there. I'm almost there. But we tend to want to go to bed earlier.
Do you see Andy?
Yeah, you're still young at heart, because he's a sweetheart. He says,
Andy, nice. You are so sweet.
He says nice things. But you want to go to bed earlier and you want to get up earlier. So everything is shifting, right? And then you're also tired. You're tired. You want to take a nap during the afternoon. I call it the circle of life. It's almost like when you're in childhood again. But it's things that we want to be careful of and not fight against. So as we age, why it's really super important to ensure that we have the right sleep system to make sure that we're getting our full sleep, because there's other things that come into play that's disrupting your sleep. That's not necessarily disrupting your sleep when you're 40. Like, for instance, aches and pains. Body is not as, I don't want to say fit, but not fit, right? Not fit, but it's starting to, I don't want to say decay. That's not the word I'm looking for, but we're aging. Things hurt more. It takes us longer, in my opinion, it takes me longer to heal when I've had a really, riding my bike or doing crazy stuff. It takes me a long time to heal. But a lot of people have more medications. All these things disrupt. When I say about having better sleep conversations is when we're finding information from our customer, looking at their age, right? Better understanding of what's going on in their life. I think that equips us to better recommend products for them and the why behind it. It's not just we want to sell you a power base because we want to sell you a power base. It's not because we want to sell you this mattress with all these great features in it and technology that helps you, sleep better. That's not the why. It's because when I have a better understanding about the person that's standing in front of me, I can show them features that can solve some of those problems. Maybe not completely, but it'll alleviate a little bit more to help them get into the restorative sleep a little bit longer. Now, again, y'all are out there. Yeah, I know this, Karen, but are you really doing it? And what can we do better? How can we have these conversations? Because I myself, and we all know ourselves the best, right? Is I know when I walk in the store, I'm not one to open up. I'm not going to tell you my life story, tell you everything that's wrong, what's going on, right? Because I don't know you. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what your agenda is. I don't know why you're asking me all these questions. So sometimes I like to keep it close to the vest, right? To understand a little bit more. So what are some great questions that we can ask, right? Tell me a little bit about how you've been sleeping on a scale from 1 to 10. In the last 2 weeks, on a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your sleep? They give you a 5. You want to follow that back up with, well, what do you think it is that's keeping you from being a 10? I mean, 5, wow, that's big distance between 10. What do you think it is that's keeping you from being a 10? That open-ended question is allowing them to really think, and they're going to come up with something, right? Maybe they'll dig deep and say, I'm on this new medication. It's keeping me from sleep. You can ask a little bit more about that. You can say, I have more aches and pains. I'm starting to have more problems. When I wake up in the morning, I'm in ache and pain. When I go to bed at night, I start having, which is this is a new one. I'll just say it's a new one for me, leg pain, right? Little leg cramps. So understanding what's going on, it gives you a better position to talk to them. I had somebody come in. I was in a store last week, and a customer came in, was talking about lower back pain. I have lower back pain. And the salesperson immediately, like, what are we going to talk about immediately? The mattress, right? Immediately. But what's funny is, did you know that if this part of your body, your neck right through here, is out of alignment, your lower back's out of alignment? So the first thing that I always want to address is the pillow. How old is your pillow? Have you ever been professionally fit for a pillow? Before we begin our journey today, let's set you up for success by professionally fitting you for a pillow. Do you fall asleep on your backside or stomach? Getting that information straight out. A lot of times when people buy a mattress and they get it home, they say, it doesn't feel the same. If they didn't purchase the pillow that you were using when you were demonstrating the mattresses on the floor, and they didn't purchase that, and they go back to their home pillow at home, that's probably keeping them completely out of alignment, not giving them the best night's sleep possible. Gives you an opportunity to say, hey, why don't you come back in, bring your pillow that you're currently sleeping on, and see if we can fine tune to see if that is the problem right there. That was a lot.
Chris Tahaney. Hail, Karen Converse. Modern sales is about earning trust, solving problems, and creating lasting value. It's not squeezing every customer into a sale. Always be closing may win the moment, but always be serving wins the future. Wow, Chris, that's great. It's really good.
He's always got the nuggets.
That's a great nugget. Andy Anderson says, be a problem finder and problem solver, not a product pusher.
Ooh.
And
very
Christina, she says, yes, Andy. And I say, yes, Andy, too.
Yeah. By asking how would they rate their sleep in the last 2 weeks is mostly, when people don't wake up in the morning and go, I need to go buy a new mattress. I just didn't sleep well last night, right? It's usually a couple of weeks, sometimes a month, sometimes longer. But I can't remember what I was doing last month. But, when I'm focused on what's wrong with me, I'm focused on pretty much in the last 2 weeks, and I write things down, and I take, if I find something weird, like I take a picture. Is that growing? What is that? But I know what's going on in the last 2 weeks. I can fine tune exactly what's happening. So that's why I asked that question. And it allows that a customer to feel a little bit more comfortable to answer, what it is that's keeping them from getting a great night's sleep. And, it's funny, why another reason that comes into play is when a person comes in and they're looking, say they come into a furniture store and they say, yeah, I'm here for bedroom, right? My follow-up was always, well, okay, bedroom set, great. Did you want to start with the mattress first or second? And they come back with, oh, no, I already got a mattress, right? I already got one of those. My quick follow-up always was, oh, great, excellent. And then take them to the bed, show them the bedrooms, and then ask them, we take sleep very seriously here. On a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your sleep in the last 2 weeks? Y'all, if it's not a 10, there's a huge opportunity. If they bought their mattress online, they probably didn't get an opportunity to ever experience a power base. Most certainly, they didn't get professionally fit for a pillow. So there's so many different opportunities by asking on a scale from 1 to 10, in the last 2 weeks on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your sleep, right? So that's a huge opportunity.
Chris had something. Oh, Christina has a question. How has your sleep changed in the last 2 years? How has your sleep changed in the last 2 years, Karen?
I don't know. 2 years? Well, obviously it's changed a lot in the last 6 months, but it's changing in the sense of more aches and pains, right? I have all the things. I try to do all the things that are necessary, but we're aging, our bodies are changing. And so I go back to my original question that I said when we started, am I doing it right? Right? Could I do something more? And so I'm constantly looking for what else can I do? I'm always looking, like, I just learned, isn't this sad? I've been doing this, 30 years? And I was in a showroom, probably last month. And I learned how to adjust, why a lumbar support was great for a side sleeper. And then, I go, oh, keep talking. I was doing the training, but I'm like, get up, let's go. This is great stuff. I've never used my lumbar. I'm a side sleeper. I've never used my lumbar because I always thought it was for the back. I'm straight up honest here. I don't know everything. And so we did this whole training and went back and forth. Everybody got involved. It was really cool on utilizing the lumbar for the side. And it was amazing how it filled in that little gap there. And I noticed I had less hip pain when I woke up. And now I am just shouting out, if you have lumbar on your floor in any power base, and they're a side sleeper, man, that is a big one. So I was getting some hip pain, adding that lumbar helped me a lot more. I'm not waking up with that anymore.
So looking back in the rear view mirror, was your hip sagging a little bit too much, and then you put that under your hip?
Yep.
So you scoot it up just a hair, right? You scoot it up just a hair, and then it leveled you out.
Yeah, right through here. Yeah.
So
it was amazing.
Here's something that I know we get a lot of reps watching. Reps, if you sell adjustable beds and you have lumbar, you should be, after you demonstrate it to your sales team, you should be pulling that mattress off and showing it to the salespeople without a mattress on it, so they can see exactly what it is and what it does, because that happened on accident at one of our sales meetings, and it was a top 100, and it was about 2 or 3 years ago. And I won't do a sales meeting without pulling the mattress off of a BT 6500 in my world, and showing that lumbar, because some people have a very difficult time understanding what it is, what it does, how you can stop and start, and the little bit of lag that there is behind when you hit the button and it stops. You have to get good at that. One of the things that we always talk about, Karen, is, your remote control. And it doesn't matter if it's a power base or if it's a remote control on a chair or a sectional in your showroom. That control has to be an extension of you. You have to be able to use it like the back of your hand. You have to know it inside and out. And all your downtime should be spent with those remote controls until you've mastered them. Chris, can you pull that back up? I'm sorry, I missed something. Randy Thompson, AKA the adjustable bed guru. We started showing the lumbar for side sleepers. Now it's called a sidebar.
Oh, I'm writing that down. Sidebar. That's a good one.
That. Thanks,
That's
Randy.
great.
That's awesome. Christina, I think this is a great question to ask customers, and they'll open up to other issues they even thought would truly affect sleep. You'll find out what they sleep on, health issues, life happenings, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, 100%, Christina.
Yeah.
I think Karen made a really good point, and maybe because she knows it so well, it was almost too subtle. Open-ended questions are your best friend early in a sales conversation. And it doesn't matter, by the way, if it's a retail conversation or a wholesale conversation. Open-ended questions are the way to go. It helps them talk more, helps you listen more, helps you understand them better. And then you can just kind of ooh and ah and Columbo your way into the rest of it without it sounding like an interrogation. Because when you have close-ended questions early in the conversation, it starts to become an interrogation, and no customer wants to be interrogated when they come into a store. They're more than willing, if you give them the opportunity, the right body language, the right feeling, the right energy, to share with you all kinds of stuff. And sometimes you'll be shocked at what they'll share with you. And if they share a little bit too much, let me tell you something. You're on the right track. You're on the right track because you have crossed a bridge with the customer that many salespeople never get across. And that is the I trust you bridge. So anytime somebody shocks you with giving you too much information, just look up to the sky and say, thank you, Lord. We're on the right track here. And pat yourself a little bit on the back, but not too much until after you've closed the sale, opened the relationship, and gotten your customer happily involved with getting a better night's sleep.
Yeah, and I brought up that lumbar story. I mean, that you asked me how I changed, but that's a case right there. I've been selling power bases forever. Not all the stores that I currently call on have lumbar on the floor. I'm going to try to get them to, because it's the fear or not quite sure exactly how to show that lumbar, and is it really that important? And their case in fact is, well, I know this, but can I do it better? Right? And absolutely, can I do it better? And I'm going to continue to work on that, as we all probably should, is that a power base, I try never to show a power base I remember when they came out with all the little features, and that's all we talked about. Oh, it's got 0G, and oh, it's, you can read, and you can watch TV in bed. Everything you don't want to, don't do all those things in bed. Just go to sleep. And we really take away, once we do, but once we take away all those things, I've had people say, well, what's the purpose, right? I don't do all those things. And, the training that I do a bedding boot camp on power bases as well, I don't do any of those extra things. It's all about finding your perfect sleep position. It's all about utilizing what the power base is there for. It's not a huge elevation. It's a slight elevation to help you get into your deeper restorative sleep. And then finding out what it is. I don't know what it is, right? You don't know what it is, and helping that customer find out. So that's an ongoing of a power base, to get that mindset out of consumers' heads that it's it's just an add-on. It's not a necessity, right? It's a luxury. Considering the price points that they used to be and where they are today in the price point of a foundation and a frame or like a metal frame, it's for a couple $100 more, you can really enhance your overall quality of sleep and complete your sleep system. So these are things I know everybody pretty much knows this, but your customer doesn't, because I cannot tell you, I know if we had these conversations on your Friday meetings or your Friday show, is I do these meetup groups. So I meet new people probably every month. I go to these things and I meet new people. I'm always talking. Inevitably, most of these people, a lot of them are retired, but inevitably they always ask me, what do you do? Now, the people that know me in some of these groups go, oh, here we go. Right. And if I had sheets with me or pillows with me or products with me, if I had a van full of product, I could sell a lot of stuff. The amount of people, and I'm meeting these people all the time that don't know anything about how to get a better night's sleep, right? Do you guys know that sleep deprivation was classified as an epidemic by the CDC in 2015? These people that I talk to go, oh, I didn't know that, but I have sleep deprivation. And then I say, well, what are you doing about it? What is there to do about it? What can we do? And it's better sleep, right? It's how you get over sleep deprivation, is get better sleep, is looking at how you're sleeping. What are you sleeping on? What's your environment in your bedroom? What are you doing? Are you doing the 10-3-2-1-0 rule to a better night's sleep? Are you doing that? And so inevitably the question comes back of, no, I didn't know any of those things. I didn't even know that, what a power base could help me with. I didn't know a pillow, right, could help me sleep better. I didn't know that sheets could help me with my temperature management, the right quality sheet. So everything in your sleep system is so important. And don't think for a second, because your customer went online and looked at something for 10, 15 minutes, they fully understand about all of these products, and utilizing them together can solve a lot of their current sleep problems.
What else? I know you got a little list. I see you looking down. I see you looking at the clock, and you're like, Pete keeps talking, and I can't get through.
No. I just had an agenda in my head because, I wanted to cover. It's my agenda over here. To make sure that I covered a lot of the things I want to cover, but there's so many things, right? Going to the next, I wanted to talk about circadian rhythm a little bit. If people would stop fighting their own natural circadian rhythm, you'd be amazed on how much better that you would sleep. Of course, you have to have the right environment, right? You have to have it dark, cool, no noise, which is super, my whole world has changed in my bed. I'll just share this, right? I have the darkening curtains. I have the darkening blinds behind the darkening curtains. I have a fan. I have an overhead fan. I have a side fan, but the fan on the side is not for cooling. I have conditioned myself that I need a fan for the noise. I can't sleep without it. If I'm traveling, I'm in a hotel, I have a fan noise on my iPad. I have to play it all night. It's ridiculous how I've conditioned my body to do that, but I sleep so deep. I sleep so deep with it. I have the right pillows, the right sheets, the right mattress. I have the right power base. I put it in the right position. So much so that if I do travel to a hotel, it is a little bit more difficult. I bring my own pillow. I have a new addiction. This is crazy, is a weighted blanket. And I take one on the road with me. I have one. It's like so crazy, but it's all these things that you start learning about what's going to help you stay in that deeper restorative sleep. The other thing is I do follow that 10-3-2-1-0 rule, right? The 10 hours before bed, you avoid the caffeine. 3 hours before bed, you stop eating or drinking any alcohol. 2 hours before bed, don't work. Don't look at the computer. That's super hard. Don't look at any emails. 1 hour before bed, stop using any screens, which is also complicated at sometimes. But once you get away from the phone about an hour before bed, it's a game changer. And the biggest one is that if you do set an alarm, I don't set an alarm. I tend to, it's working. I'm working with my circadian rhythm, and I have for a couple of years, is I don't necessarily, unless I have to get up at really, really super early, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I usually get up at 6. I don't set an alarm. But if I do set an alarm, don't go back to sleep. Don't lay down, get up, do that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mel Robbins always had that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get up, and you get up, get out of bed, get on with your day. So that little self-talking.
I've got 10. I got 3. I got 2. What's the one?
Oh, 1 hour before bed, stop using your phone. Stay away from the blue light. Stay away from the screen.
Okay, I had that lumped in with.
Yeah, so stop working is 2 hours before bed.
Got it.
1 hour
had
blue light.
stop screens.
Yeah,
makes sense.
10, 3, 2, 1, 0 is. I picked that up.
Do you know what makes me really, really tired? Reading a real book, a paper book. Like if I'm like in this like sometimes. So this is what I do, and this might help you, somebody that's listening. Empty your brain on a piece of paper. Just take a blank piece of paper, empty your brain. Every thought, every concern that you have, something that's open, whatever it doesn't matter what it is. Just write it down, because when you write it down, your brain can let go of it. So empty your brain out about an hour before you go to bed. Usually, once I've done that, I can just go, all right, I'm going to bed. I'm done. I'm good. I've got it all written down, and I'll deal with this stuff in the morning. But sometimes I just, I can't, I got energy or whatever, and I did all the other stuff the right way. If I read, I can't even get through a few pages. A paper book, for some reason, it doesn't work on a Kindle for me. So there's something to what you're saying about the screens. It only works with a paper book. And I often will fall asleep when this happens with a paper book in my hand. Jacksonville Bedding and More. This is RJ, the man, the myth, the legend.
RJ.
Jacksonville Bedding Mattresses and More. RJ asks, Karen, can you walk us through your personal sleep routine? What's one habit you swear by that most people overlook when it comes to getting truly restorative sleep? Wow, what a great question.
That is a good question. I do the same thing, right? I'll take you all through this. But what I normally do is I wash my face way before I go to bed. I don't do all of that stuff right before I go to bed, because tend to put splashing water on my face, I found was keeping me awake. So I do that a couple hours before. And then when I go to bed, again, I have the shades and I have darkening curtains. The darkening curtains, those were new this year. That's a game changer for me, because I don't wake up before my time. Everything's out. I have my fan going. I have 4 pillows, right? Strategically placed. And I do my power base. I count. I do a count on my head to the count of 6. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I do 5 on my feet. You guys, it was a long time of figuring this out, but it's where it is for me. And the count is for me. And it's like the perfect. So when I roll on my side, I'm not out of alignment. My head's not out of alignment. That slight elevation for my head. I do have allergies. I don't know what was happening up here in Rochester last week, but it happened to me and my daughter. Our face just swelled. So if this was last week, this wouldn't have been good. My eyes were really big. It was just bad allergies. But I was elevated. I got to sleep super easy. I had ease of breathing. I didn't have any of that congestion. I go to bed at the same time. And I think that because I'm following my circadian rhythm, I wake up. I do stop caffeine now at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't drink alcohol. I really don't drink alcohol other than when I go to Vegas Market or I'm around Larry.
There's no way you're in a house with Larry in High Point and you're not having a drink.
I know, but I'm more of a social drinker. It's very rare. So I don't really have that issue. But what I was doing is, having a little bit of, a cracker or something after dinner. I just stopped eating after dinner. That helped me. The food, the digestion, all of these things, that was affecting me. But that's basically my sleep routine. Super comfortable nighttime clothing for me, which is something light, because getting constricted is not good. I was listening to somebody, I don't know, last couple weeks ago. It was a guy, and he was like, I don't sleep with a top sheet. I hate it, you know. And I'm like, I have never tried that. I'm going to try not sleeping with a top sheet. It didn't even last 3 days. I don't know why I love a top sheet. I just love a top sheet. So we're all different, right? We all have to find what's good for us, the right kind. I have different sheets. I try different things to see what works. Not everything. We're all different. You got to find what works for you. There's certain fabrics that don't work for me.
If you have not tried the quilted enhanced bamboo top sheet, you absolutely have to try it.
I'll have to try
when
it.
Chris Tahaney was describing that, like when a regular sheet's not enough, but you know, a quilt is too much, that it's perfect. I was like calling BS. Like, I'm such a contrarian. Like, it's terrible, but I've gone through my whole life this way. I'm always calling BS in my own head. And most often I'm calling the BS back on myself who called BS, because I got to tell you something. Chris was 100% right. I love it in the winter, and I love it in the summer. I especially love it in the summer, because that's all I need. Just that little bit of extra little bit of weight is enough.
That's me. That's what we need, everybody needs to just find what works for them. I do recommend this to my friends, family, everybody, is to have 2 different types of sheets, 2 different fabrics, one for the summer, spring, summer, fall, winter. Change it up, see what works best for you, because I firmly believe that different fabrics, right, the way that it dissipates, we all have different bodies, is going to help. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, I have my agenda, is what's happening right now. You always ask me, Karen, what's going on? Like, what's happening? What's moving? What should we be talking about today, right? What's happening?
All right. So I'm going to interrupt you, because Anthony D'Amato has a great comment.
What did he say?
Karen is super knowledgeable and great at what she does. And I concur, nice. Anthony. Thank you. Thank you for that kind comment. That's very true.
You guys are so nice. I don't have to do my positive affirmations today. I'll just
you're getting them live. You're getting them live, sister.
It'd be great. Well, you know, it is because I want us to change. I want us to change as an industry.
You've got a believer now. Blake Iyer is now saying, I will now be introducing lumbar to side sleepers with a whole new mindset. Incredible nugget right there. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's wonderful. But I'm just trying to change the world, Pete. I want us to stop talking about the deal and the lowest mattress and all of that stuff. I want us to start talking about how that we can have better sleep. And, you know, we can start it right at the very beginning. And what's going on right now, and I think most of you are starting your back to school, right? You have colleges. We start talking about back to school and the mattresses and what can we do, bundle everything. And we've had parents come in and talk about, even for their small children, you know, where are your children's mattresses? And I always say, oh, they're right over there next to the children's iPhones. They don't exist. Right? Right? Where the heck are children's mattresses? Just because it's a twin doesn't mean it's a children's mattress. A child, you put Nike sneakers or Converse sneakers on a small child that doesn't even walk, and those things are $65, and that's what you want to spend on a mattress. You're out of your mind. But when I'm out and about, I have 3 grandchildren, and when I'm with them, I mean, they all sleep. Well, the older 2, they have it all. They have power bases. They have the good. They have it all. Right? They're sleeping great, because I know the deal. Because when I go visit them, I don't want to say, oh, you need a nap or you didn't get a good night's sleep last night. They you know, they're kids, they're crazy, but they're sleeping great. And when we're looking at people coming in the door and asking about where are your children's mattresses, I'm here for a child, we have to think about the importance of sleep, and not just a child, but I know, Chris, your son back to college, but even going to college. It's a proven fact that quality of sleep leads, like quality of sleep, and I can quote I have it here somewhere in my notes, leads to a lower GPA, right? So, and I know when you go to college, what takes priority is studying and partying, right? Great sleep isn't always where it's at, but we need to make sure that when they're there, they have the right pillow. If they already have a mattress that's in the dorm, can we offer, toppers? Can we make sure that they have the good quality of sheets to ensure that they're going to get a better night's sleep? So go, from back to school, college, to get these things all in play. If you're doing bundling, right? Sheets, protector, a topper, and pillow, get that all ready for back to school. And the importance of the why. They're investing a lot of money into an education to ensure that they're going to retain that information, because we all know that getting a great quality of great night's sleep helps us formulate everything we learned during the day, and then it's stored. By disruptive sleep, that doesn't happen. So we have to ensure that happens. We're going to help. We're going to educate and help, our customers help their children really get them maximize that college education if that's where they're choosing to go. But going back to little children, right? Do you know that when the circadian rhythm starts, Pete?
In the womb.
No, it doesn't. I thought so too.
Before that?
No, after. That's why babies, their sleep is so disruptive. It's all over the place. It's developing. I thought the same thing. I thought it was something that was in us, right? But it's like with our hormones and everything else, and how we learn to walk and eat and all of that. It's developing. I thought that was really cool. I did not know that before.
Well, I'm about to really show my ignorance. I thought circadian rhythm had to do with our body's relationship to the sun. Is that correct, or is that incorrect?
Yep, it is, because the sun, right? Everything with the 24, where our whole entire system is built on 24 hours. Getting sunlight helps us keep that regulated.
So when we're born, we start to sync up.
Yeah,
when is it established, Karen?
It's like late. It depends, right? It depends on the child, but starting like 1, 2. Like, okay. That's why when people and they start to, when you say, oh, the child is sleeping through the night, I start to feel bad when I read this. I don't know when I read this, but when I'm learning this, I start to feel bad because, I did the, I remember the name of it, but like that sleep, that sleep training to get your child to sleep through the night. So you would, that's horrible. I won't repeat what it's all this to, you go to see them a little bit longer so they sleep. But the reality is their little bodies and brains, they're learning and developing with everything. And so that circadian rhythm is also factoring in at that time as well. Yeah. How about toddler? What is that, like 2? Right around 2 years old is when it really starts to sync up and get better. And then, of course, we ruin it by giving them iPhones and tablets and all sorts of crazy stuff because they can't fall asleep. And, not ensuring that they have the best night's sleep possible by not really focusing in on their sleep systems, which, look, I like everybody to like me, but I'm all right talking to people a little rough, a little tough, not rough, a little tough when they're wanting to invest more into the sneakers and the clothing rather than, a good night's sleep, right? I will say those things because it's everything of who we are, how we are. I say, did you ever see a child that, that's hasn't had a nap, right? How do they feel? You ever see an older adult without a nap, how they act?
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. I've run into some pretty grumpy buyers in my day.
Yeah. And then, speaking of kids, I know we're out of time, but speaking of kids, I'm just zooming all over. I have so much stuff, but so little time. I could go for hours, but and you have a great sales book, Pete. I love it. Oh yeah, I always learn from you. And
not my sales book. It's 10 other people's.
I know it's from, but you put it out. But everybody that's in that, I think that's great. That's a nice combination. But this was my favorite sales book that I introduced to every single sales meeting, large sales meeting that I've done, and it's right here.
I love that.
So why this is a good sales book? You're going to be like, oh, Karen, you're so crazy. Well, why this is a good sales book is that when I've had people say before, I've asked them that and, they said no, right? You know how many times that they say he's told no in this book? 69 times. 69 times. It was the 70th time that he said it, that he got the yes. Now, I'm not saying you got to ask that person 69 times or repeat yourself over and over. But what it is that in this book, does he ask that 69 times the exact same way? No. He asked, Chris, he asked it in 69 different ways to find, and he finally found that one way that got the interest. So my point of that is that more, going right back to my original part of opening up this conversation with you today, Pete, is that understanding more of what that customer is, the issues that they're experiencing, why they came into your store, understanding more along that line helps us develop the right questions to ask, right? And if we ask a question and maybe they say no, maybe we just need to ask it a different way. So, and so what I do myself is I pull back and I think, maybe I just didn't ask that the right way. Maybe I need to rethink about how I'm asking this question and what can I do better, right?
So, Karen, I want to make sure we're on the same page. I want you to put that book up nice and high for everybody. Here's your sales book, Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
You will learn more and new creative ways on your way to getting a yes.
I don't know if you're going to learn a lot of creative ways, but the whole point of it is that just because somebody says no, right, the first time, for instance, let's just say for fun, I think that we all have a set point with spending money, right? And you go in and somebody spends, let's just say $2,000. That's it. That's their top of the line. They just can't. That's a lot of money. Can't do it. Don't even want to look at a power base. Maybe don't want to look at a pillow. Maybe don't even want to look at a protector. But then, you know what? In about 4 days, this is all what we do. We like to spend money. We buy things, right? In about 4 days, all of a sudden, you haven't bought anything in a while. Good opportunity to follow up with the customer and said, hey, Pete, when you were in here, I just want to follow up one more time, on the protector, right before we deliver this, the importance of it. Or I want to follow up one more time that we did have an additional special, you can say another sale or special sale or one more thing about in that conversation about a power base. We can always add this to the sale before it gets delivered. You guys have no idea of how many times that they'll get a yes. Oh yeah, right? And so that's where I was saying this book is just because they said no today doesn't mean it's going to be no or even no right now in another couple of questions, or bringing it back up even though you asked the first time, bringing it back up again because maybe you got a little bit more information about the customer and how they're sleeping or lack of sleeping, allows you to ask that question again. Ask them if they want that.
Yep.
That make sense? I know.
There comes a time in the sale where they relax and they realize that what you're doing is actually for their own good. And when you get to that point in the sale, now's the time to ask all the questions they said no to again, because they never heard you the first time. That was a reflexive no to keep you off of them because you're a salesperson, but now you're a friend. You're not a salesperson anymore. You're almost like part of their family now. I mean, they've told you things in the last 20 minutes that they haven't shared with any other salesperson. They told that to you because they finally figured out that you were on their side. So you got a couple more minutes, Karen.
I can't talk in 2 minutes. I just wanted to say again, in your shows, we're all where we are today. I'm where I am today. I've had great people in my life that have shared their best practices. They have been honest with me about things that I could do better, how I could word things better. And I'm always open to growing. I don't say changing because I am who I am, but I want to grow. I constantly want to be better. And I want to help other people do the same thing. And the bigger part of every conversation I've ever had with you, Pete, is just changing how we talk to customers. Take the mattress, take the mattress deal, the lower price, all of that out of the entire conversation and make it about sleep and for them to have a better life, or their children or their the mother or any family member to have a better life by incorporating a better sleep system. or various components in the sleep system.
Do you remember our first conversation? Our good friend Keith Burrell asked me to call you. You were thinking about becoming a 1099 rep. And I said, Karen, I've got, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And
it goes 2 hours later. We got off the phone.
Well, you were saying so many things, and I'm like, this is like a female version of me. This is crazy.
That's a compliment, Pete. I'll take that. Thank you. Thank you.
People, if you don't know Karen, you want to get to know Karen better, what's the best way of getting a hold of you, Karen?
Call me, text me, right? You can email me.
716-790-1949 or email connect@Karen-Converse.com. And if you're listening to this on Audible or on any podcast for that, audibly on any podcast, you want to see the video version, this lives on YouTube forever and ever. Thank you, everybody who jumped in with questions and comments. You guys, one of the things I love about this industry is so many good people. I love how RJ is modeling this by eliminating cheap junk from the floor. Absolutely, Andy. And Andy says, I'm okay with a 2-hour special. Keep talking.
Yeah.
Chris is not okay with that because he's got a tight schedule. Andy says she is your only guest. I've watched the replays 3 times. No offense, RJ and Chris.
Andrew, you're so sweet.
Andy, you are too sweet. It's a shame, Karen, you're not going to Vegas because Andy's going to be in Vegas.
I know. I wish I was. I didn't have any customers make appointments with me. Right. I will be in High Point, and I'll be in Vegas in January. But unfortunately, I would be just wandering the halls looking for people to talk to. So but I'll be in High Point, and I'll be in January market. So if anybody wanted to meet up, talk to me, I'm always open.
Awesome.
So thank you again for having me.
Thank you, Karen. Have a great day and sell a million.
All right.
Everybody sell a million.